People either love Coach Spurrier or they hate Coach Spurrier. A lot of guys that have played for him generally love him. Yeah, totally. I mean, back in 2004, no guy would admit that. 2022, now people are like, yeah, dude, like the show's about. It's a huge part of pop culture. I had no idea in 2004 that I wanted to be on television at all. And that really sort of taught me, like, you've got to find whatever it is that gets you ready and just believe in it. But I don't try to deviate too much from what got me here and what's allowed me to be successful these last 15 years.
You're listening to the Radcast. If it's radical, we cover it. Here's your host, Ryan Alford.
Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to the latest edition of the Radcast. We're talking Bachelor today. We're talking college football. We're talking Jesse Palmer. What's up, brother?
Good, brother. Good being on with you. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Fabulous. I've been dying to have you on the show. I've been a big fan from afar, like always, watching you on play college football. I remember you playing. I'm old enough to remember that.
I was going to say, you're definitely you're dating yourself.
I know.
Right away.
Date myself. I remember your playing days, and you do a hell of a job with ESPN. And I was like, and then you picked up the dang Bachelor gig. I'm like, dude, I just got to talk to this guy. So I know you're a busy man, so appreciate it.
Let's get into it.
Yeah, man. So I think by now you're getting to be a household name, but for our audience, I definitely just want to kind of get into your journey. You can start it and tell it from wherever point you want, but I think you got a real unique perspective and a kind of a real, obviously very unique journey and winding path. So let's start down that, man.
Yeah, unique journey. That's definitely a good way to put it and to tease it. It's I never expected that I would be in the position I am today, for sure. I grew up in a small town outside of Ottawa, Canada. It's called Nepean. And my dad was a former professional football player. My mom was a model. I grew up wanting to be an NFL quarterback. And I knew that from the time that I was 7 years old. And it was an awesome dream to have, but it was kind of unique and weird because I was in Canada where everybody loves hockey and everybody just talks about hockey. Football is really not that big of a deal. And I just worked and grinded and played, I played every sport growing up, but my dad was my coach, and I got really lucky. And a big turning point in my life was getting a scholarship to play for Steve Spurrier at the University of Florida. I got there right after they won a national championship in 1996. Danny Werfel had won the Heisman Trophy. So it was really just a unique time in my life. And fast forward 4 years from there, got drafted by the New York Giants, played in the NFL, and for about 5 or 6 years, and then started my career into sports broadcasting with ESPN. And that essentially is sort of what kind of opened up the door for a lot of TV opportunities as well.
Yeah, I love it, man. A lot to unpack there. I am going to go down the Spurrier route for a second. So I went to Clemson, and so I'm a Clemson guy. And Spurrier was at USC when they handed Clemson like their worst 5 years in a row losing. And I'm like, God, and then now I love the guy. It's like a love-hate relationship. How is Spurrier is just, I don't know, as crazy as it seems, or like, is it, I don't know. The guys that love him. I mean, it seems like.
Well, that's a good way to put it. He's definitely, people either love Coach Spurrier or they hate Coach Spurrier. A lot of guys that have played for him generally love him. I mean, it was such a unique time to be playing for him with the Gators because he was just so innovative on offense. And that was a time where he was really sort of changing the game and with spread offense and aggressive play calling. And we took a lot of shots and scored a lot of points and won a lot of games. And so, he's such a unique character and personality as well, just because of he's like a walking soundbite. I mean, anytime he opens his mouth, it's on the front page because of, it's just incredible. He oftentimes doesn't have a filter, but that's what people love about him too.
Yep.
And so, he's definitely a legend. It was so cool playing for a guy that changed the game, that is a legend in the sport, and was really sort of in the prime of his coaching. And the crazy part was I think a lot of people could argue what he did at South Carolina after that might have been as impressive as what he did with the Gators. People sort of expected him to win SEC titles with Florida, but
Yeah.
the turnaround that he kind of got South Carolina underway and how he kind of really took that program over to me, I think is just as impressive.
Yeah. No, I think 100%, especially growing up in South Carolina and knowing them in the SEC they were the doormat of the SEC until he got there for the most part. And, freaking beat Alabama, beat Clemson 5 years in a row. Like, it was a little bit before Dabo got rolling, but at the same time, Clemson had a lot more legacy, a lot better players a lot of the times, and just kicked our ass.
I think what was funny, what was surprising was just how well he recruited in state at South Carolina. Like, he was able to get guys like Alshon Jeffrey, Marcus Lattimore, obviously Clowney. You think about these guys that came in and just, the best player in the state and just impact guys that really sort of kind of set him up. And he's just one of these dudes who's, throughout his careers has put guys in position to be successful and to go on to the NFL and have successful careers there. It's pretty amazing what he did.
I agree. So, briefly, how do you define when you look back at the NFL experience? Is it fond? Was it just does it feel like a blip now? I mean, obviously it was 5-6 years, but how is that in your memory banks now holding up it's just incredible?
It's best years of my life. Yeah. I mean, when I say when I was 7 years old, I wanted to play in the NFL, like that I don't mean that like every 7-year-old kid says that. Like, I was absolutely obsessed with football. I had like 14 posters of quarterbacks in my bedroom. I had this massive poster of Joe Montana on my ceiling that I would look at when I went to bed. I mean, I ate, breathed, and slept football all day, every day. I had a Miami Hurricane rubber football that I packed in my knapsack that I took to school every day to throw around. I was like the only kid playing football because no one else wanted to. When I look, like, the day I got drafted by the New York Giants was such a magical moment because all the hard work, all the sacrifice, and really just being grateful and thankful to all the people that helped me achieve that and get there. I mean, it was really, really tough odds for a kid from Nepean, Ontario to end up getting drafted and then end up starting games in the National Football League. I would have loved to have had Tom Brady's career. There's no doubt about it. But the thing is, when I look back on it, man, I got to do something that so few people ever did. And so I sort of look at it like I lived my dream.
Yeah, man.
I did it. I achieved my goals. And everything else that has happened since then is literally just icing on the cake. I don't have any regrets. I'm not resentful at all. I have a lot of buddies that played football that had really bad breaks. They got hurt. They were talented guys, made bad decisions, got hurt. Life happened, and they couldn't pursue their dream of playing in the NFL. And years later, people really harbor that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it just kind of sticks with them. It sticks in their gut, and it affects them. And I totally get it. I understand it. I was so lucky to be able to avoid a lot of pitfalls, injuries, life, whatever it is, to have had the opportunity to have those 5-6 years in the NFL. Dude, those were the best days of my life. And when I was starting games, I was getting the crap kicked out of me. But honestly, dude, I would do it all over again in a millisecond to be on the field again with the guys, because it was that's the only thing I ever wanted to do since I was 7 years old. So I'm eternally grateful to so many people and to the experiences I had.
I love it, man. I'm going to make this observation, and I want to get your opinion. Like, there's something about you, like when I see you on television, I'm talking to you now, there's a joy and a happiness, and like, some people you feel like they carry the weight of the world, they have issues or whatever. And I think it may even be polarizing maybe for people with you, because I always just sense, and have always liked this about you, there's just kind of like this, I'm in this moment and I'm enjoying it and I'm a happy person. And I don't know, I've just always respected that about you. And the more I talk to you sitting here, I'm like, it feels real. Like, even like,
I appreciate it.
Yeah. And like, I don't know if you've ever talked about that, but like, I don't know. And I don't know where that comes from. Like, just that I don't know, joyous spirit or happiness, you know?
Dude, you're the first person that's ever actually asked me that. That's a great question, man. I appreciate it. I try to think of myself as being a guy that's in the present.
Yeah.
And I try to stay cognizant of that. And you know, it might have to do with playing football all those years and just listening to buddies and teammates always talk about woulda, coulda, shoulda.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have come to Florida, man. I should have gone to South Carolina. I would have been a starter and I'd be in the league right now if I'd done that. If I didn't come here, I wouldn't have torn my ACL. I should have never married that girl. If I didn't do that, I would have had this time to do these things. And on the flip side of that, people always just so worried about the next contract, the next, you know, what was happening way down the line. And it just seemed so stressful to me. And I wasn't even the one saying those things.
Right.
Those weren't even my thoughts, but just being surrounded by all that fear all the time and that negative, I don't want to say negative energy, but the nervous energy. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
It was draining on me. And I just felt, I think, happiest and the most comfortable when I just really thought about the here and now. And at ESPN, like when we're in studio and we're doing a halftime, I'm just really trying to enjoy that moment and that halftime. And I'm not worrying about the 1 hour long college football final that's going to go live at 2 a.m. that we're all going to be dreading because we've been awake for 15 hours. You know, it's just trying. I guess people have told me that's a very Buddhist way of thinking about things, and I'm not a Buddhist. It's just how I sort of have tried to compartmentalize things, because I think our lives can at times seem like there's a lot going on, and it'll give you that anxiety. I mean, I don't even have kids yet. I can't imagine someone like we were talking before we started. You've got 4 boys, dude. I can't imagine you having to think about balancing that and your wife and your kids, and now your podcast and your job and your family and your travel. Like, I don't know how you do that either. You must be the same. You must.
I'm wired very similar. And I guess, I don't know, you kind of recognize it in yourself when you see someone else. But I've always admired that about you, because I've always felt like that was true. It was like, but until I really kind of have this conversation and I'm hearing you talk and I'm like, you know, it's 1-to-1. I'm like, okay, that's not a paint. That's not fake. Like, that's real. Like, and
I appreciate it, brother.
Yeah, man. And so I really appreciate that in you. I think there's just so much, I don't know, kind of too far ahead and maybe not in the moment, and a lot of negativity. And I feel like I've just never sensed that from you. So I appreciate that. So, hey man, so let's talk a little bit about, you just brought up some of the college football stuff. I mean, that's coming up. I mean, it's got to just remain a passion. I mean, like, you're great at it. You're good at calling, you know, play by. I mean, you do both color. You do some color too, right? Color and play by play, or just color?
I mean, I used to do color and studio for a while, and then there was a while there too where I was calling 2 games a week for 3 years. So Brent Musburger and I were doing the SEC Network together.
Yep.
And then I was doing Thursday night football, traveling sort of all over the country. It was a lot, but kind of like you said, I mean, if you really enjoy what you're doing, like, I love football and I love college football. Like, I love college football. Dude, like, again, and that, not to keep going back to Canada, but like Canadians, I obviously, you know, I all my best friends are there. I love them. They have no idea about passionate fan bases in football.
They don't know about those Clemson Tigers.
No, they don't. I mean, like, I always tell them, they're like, dude, Montreal Canadiens, Toronto Maple Leafs, best rivalry in sports. And I'm like, it's a great rivalry, but you really should, at some point in your life, try to get to Alabama, LSU, or try to do, like, if you can see, like, like Georgia, Florida, or one of these games, Clemson, South Carolina.
Yeah.
If you can go down and see that, it's just a total game changer. And when I lived it for 4 years, it was an indoctrination into a religion that I never even knew existed. And I just immediately knew that I was home. Like, when I left Nepean and I showed up in Gainesville, Florida, I knew I was home, because everybody loved football. They wanted to talk about it all the time, just like I did. And having the last 15, 16 years at ESPN to do this as a job and get to travel to these, go to Memorial Stadium at Clemson, go down to Bryce Williams Stadium. I mean, dude, it's Williams Bryce. It's amazing to get to do all that, and then talk about it. and be around passionate people. I just love it.
Yeah, man. Is there a moment that sticks out? I mean, like one of your best moments. I'm sure you've had a ton now, but like whether it was at a game where the energy is so high, or I don't know, maybe in studio. I don't know. Is there a moment or two that are standouts at this point?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, man. It's funny. You can think back and I remember so many games and amazing environments that I was in at the time. There have been a few oh crap moments though. The first was when I called my first game with Brent Musburger.
Okay, yeah.
He's such a legend.
Oh yeah.
And he's a guy he's called so many big games in college football, in the NFL. He's been to like Ali Frazier. He's done so many different things, Olympics, everything. But we were in South Carolina doing a Texas A&M South Carolina game. And the broadcast started and the place is going nuts. And they're playing Space Odyssey and the place is absolutely freaking out. And all of a sudden he comes on and you hear the classic, "You are looking live." And I had this crap moment where I just froze. Like, holy crap, like I'm in the booth with Brent Musburger about to call this game. How cool is that? And then, there was him and I called an Iron Bowl. We did a Bama Auburn game, which was incredible. Him and I called the Rose Bowl, which I still can't believe I did that. I mean, and so
bucket list.
It's like stuff that when I started at ESPN, I mean, I was just you could have thrown me. My first game I called was Rice versus UTEP, and it was the greatest thing of all time. Like it was the greatest.
You're
thing
definitely
ever.
a junkie.
If you told me that like down the road I'd get a chance to be in Pasadena, Rose Bowl with Brent Musburger, I mean, it's amazing the journey and how lucky I've been, honestly, because I don't take a second of that job for granted.
So, it's funny, like every college football nut, myself included, goes, damn, that'd be a dream job, I mean, and I'm like, and it's never as sexy, like you said, 2 a.m. stuff, you get tired. There's always stuff it's a job. People forget that, but damn, have your passion and your work come to life.
And you got to remind yourself too, there are a lot of people out there that would slit your throat for your job.
Oh, yeah.
Like I know we all go through things like when we have a job we really love, and sometimes it gets tough, like you were mentioning, and all of them do. There's no such thing as the perfect job.
Yeah.
But it's in those moments that you really do have to sort of remind yourself, don't take it for granted, because there's somebody out there who's very, very hungry that wants your job, and they'll do anything to get it. And so it's a good reminder, I think, for people sometimes when you sort of get in tough spots.
What do you think's attributed to your longevity with ESPN? Like, you feel like, you're easy to work with, I'm sure, but like, are there things, because it's kind of where I was wanting to go, like this nature or nurture thing with you, man. I can't quite put my finger on it. Like, both your joy in doing things, your attitude, but I'm almost kind of getting at what makes you successful, while also asking, that longevity is not easy in the sport you just described.
Yeah, I mean, for me, and this kind of goes back to playing football. It's like I just work really, really hard at it, and I study a lot. I watch a lot of tape. I watch so much film. Every year, I've got just books and binders of notes that I've taken watching teams. I put a lot into it, and I think a lot of people that do this job, everybody sort of has their own path and their own way that they operate. Some guys are great at just not studying and just kind of showing up and watching the game and just giving it to you raw and live. I sort of look, I do it the way I used to play quarterback, where you watch film, you study the opponent, you do it for a week, and then you're able to sort of take everything that you've studied and you've got in your head, and you sort of kind of spit it out on game day with respect to what you're seeing. So I hope part of my longevity has to do with the product that I'm putting out. And a lot of that really is preparation and really hard work. I'm not the guy that just kind of shows up and wings it. And I hopefully for the fans and the viewers at home, hopefully that comes across.
No, it does. I always feel like you're like over prepared. Like it does come across that way. Almost like, again, it's a compliment. Like, robotically, not because you're a robot, but because I'm like the detail, I'm like, yeah, totally. It's there.
I remember like playing for Sean Payton with the New York Giants. And I remember like, he would grind. He was like a John Gruden disciple who would grind, all hours of the night. We'd be in our quarterback meeting Friday morning, and Sean had the biggest eye bags. He was crushing dip. He had like a coffee. It was like double fisting coffees, and just going through it. And he would put so much work into our game plan. Like our playbook for that week was huge, and we would lose a game and be really disappointing, and just put up 6 points and just all like 160 yards. And I think to myself, like, man, how's he going to change? Like, obviously that was not a good outcome. We lost the game. That was embarrassing. How is he going to change his preparation the next time? And to his credit, he never did. He just trusted the process. He went back in the office at 4 a.m. on Sunday or on Monday and just started the whole thing again, trusting that in believing in what he was doing was right. And that really sort of taught me, like, you've got to find whatever it is that gets you ready and just believe in it. And I have good days in studio and I have bad days in studio, and I have good days in the booth and I have bad days in the booth. But I don't try to deviate too much from what got me here and what's allowed me to be successful these last 15 years.
Yeah. I think it's good for people to hear that because, dude, man, you look like you got it all together. You're a good looking guy. You've been on The Bachelor, which we're going to get to. And it's like, but no, this guy's busting his ass, working hard, preparing, and it doesn't just get handed. It's like hard work. And I think it's good for people to hear that from you because I think there's just you deal. I'm sure you've dealt with that in your life, Oh, you got it easy or something, right?
Yeah, for sure. Like, I mean, listen, no doubt about it. And I tell people this all the time. Like, my career at Florida and playing in the NFL and being on The Bachelor, to some extent, did that help me land ESPN? Absolutely, it did. Of course it did.
Yeah.
But once you get there, what do you do with it? Because we've also had we've had NFL Hall of Famers at ESPN that got a job because of that, but they didn't last very long because they didn't work very hard.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, it's just, at the end of the day, it's your resume, your game tape, your film, and what you put out on camera at ESPN and studio and in the booth. That is your resume, and it speaks for itself.
I think it does, brother, because I've seen the turnover but you're a mainstay with college football, hopefully for a long time. Let's talk about The Bachelor. Let's talk about it. You were The Bachelor, then you're the host of The Bachelor, replacing Chris Harrison, who was there for 20. I don't know. The guy looks our age or your age. I don't know how old you are. How are you, 40 yet? Are you getting there?
I'm in there.
You're in there, getting in there.
I'm in there somewhere.
We're in there somewhere. But Chris Harrison looks, whatever, but he's done The Bachelor for 28 years or whatever. So you got to follow him up. I think you've done a great job, but I don't know, just talk about that Bachelor experience. What's that been like?
Yeah, it's been wild. I mean, going back to 2004 when I became The Bachelor, that was kind of this amazing opportunity. It's funny. I've always sort of been a guy that just kind of tries to take opportunities and make the most out of them and just kind of have fun with again, kind of being in the moment, not worrying about what the repercussions are of it. And so, I'd be lying if I told you that in 2004, I knew what I was doing. If
I wouldn't believe you if you did say you did.
If I had said, trust me, like, I'm going to do that. I'm playing in the NFL right now. I'm going to do this job. And in a couple of years, this is totally going to open doors for me in my broadcasting career. I had no idea in 2004 that I wanted to be on television at all. So, that whole thing happened. And with beyond a shadow of a doubt, I don't know if it really helped me with ESPN, but it definitely helped me with Food Network, with Good Morning America, and obviously being the host of The Bachelor now, years and years later, Daily Mail, and some of these other shows that I've been associated with. It has been so cool this year, coming back years and years later to be part of the franchise again. And the amazing thing has just been how much bigger the show is now. Like, dude, when I did it in 2004, reality TV was like a brand new thing.
Yep.
And I remember being in the locker room with all the guys in the New York Giants, like Michael Strahan, Tiki Barber, Amani Toomer. And I'm having to like explain to them what reality TV is and then also what The Bachelor is. What is that? So wait, you're going on a reality show to get a date? Is that kind of what you're doing? Like, it's a little bit more than that. Like, you're going on, you're hopefully going to get married. It's all on reality TV. and explain all that. And then today, to fast forward, like the budget's obviously way bigger. Obviously, the travel's crazy. It's still, the nuts and bolts are the same, and the concept of it is the same. But the fans and Bachelor Nation has just grown by leaps and bounds. They've multiplied. I can't think of another show that has a fan base so into it and just so emotional about it and so invested in it. It's kind of like, it's like a Clemson fan base or an SEC fan. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, right.
It's just that they are so passionate about it, and that's been really, really cool to sort of be back a part of that.
Yeah, man. And I think you've done a good job. It's a rabid fan base. I mean, I'm one of those. I don't even call it a guilty pleasure. I don't know why, as a man, we feel like we have to say guilty pleasure when we say we like watching The Bachelor. But my wife has loved it forever, so she kind of got me on it, and then like now we enjoy it. So it's like I don't really care. Yeah, you know. Like, I think guys are like ashamed, but you know you're watching it.
Totally. I mean, back in 2004, no guy would admit that. 2022, now people are like, yeah, dude, like the show's about. It's like a huge part of pop culture that everybody's girlfriend or wife watches. So on Monday nights, you're right there. I was talking to Kirk Herbstreit, to Herbie, the other day. I mean, on Monday, he's like texting me throughout the episodes because he's watching it too. So it's like we're all whether we admit it or not, we're all doing it. So it's a lot of fun.
Exactly. What's been the and I know we got to wrap up here, but what's been like any shocking moments or holy cow moments from the season? You know, like I know there's a lot, but
there have been so many. Well, this year has been absolutely crazy. Like, this is not what I signed up for. I thought I was coming into this thing and it was just going to be like
some kind of formula, but
a 7-iron, like a 5-iron, just trying to keep it in the fairway, just kind of like Clayton's brought out like his driver on every, like he's taking DeChambeau rips, and like just things are like balls are spraying. It's been a very emotional roller coaster. This thing has gone off the tracks a few times, and we're at a point right now in the show where we're coming up on the finale next week, Monday and Tuesday, live on After the Final Rose, and we don't know how this ends. Like we were shooting everything out in Iceland back in the fall, and I mean, I left set thinking, okay, I know how this thing, it's over, and I know what happens, and there is so much chaos and so much drama that is just, as everybody has seen, has just happened in Iceland, and it's going to come up. There's so many questions that are still unanswered, and we're going to get the answers to all of it finally live on Monday and Tuesday, and I can't wait. That's going to be my oh crap moment, Monday and Tuesday.
It's crazy. There used to be these unspoken rules on The Bachelor, what they did, what they didn't do. The last few years, it's been trending towards this. There's no rules. There's no nothing. Like, and it's all kind of. And this season's been like the epitome of that, right?
I know. Clayton's forging his own path, man. He's doing things his way.
Yeah.
And it's led to a lot of drama, and now he's going to have to deal with the consequences, and we're going to see how he's able to sort of navigate the situation that he's gotten himself in.
I agree, man. Is it nature or nurture for you, man? Is this all like, did your parents just raise you well, or you just built this way?
Not to get all Freudian, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like listen, I was very, very lucky. I had two incredible role models, and my mom and my dad. They definitely instilled a lot of discipline in me, a lot of work ethic, and a lot of gratitude and appreciation growing up at a very young age. And I think staying close to them throughout my entire life and having the messages reinforced over and over, I think has definitely helped a lot. And I think trying to be around like-minded people, and we talked a lot about my teammates back in the day, and football is a funny thing. It's like in college football especially, there's like 120 dudes in there in the locker room, and there's a lot of guys. You got to be careful who your circles are. Every football player's got a kind of a tiny circle. You got the team, you got the offense, you got but you have like 4 or 5 dudes, different positions, whatever, that you kind of run with. And I think you got to be careful who those guys are. I was always trying to make sure they were positive people that were appreciative of what we were doing and loved what we were doing. And I think family, and I think my circle, my teammates and my buddies, I think and my wife, Emily, is really the biggest reason.
I think all those hold true in everything, not just sports and for you. I think keep your circle small and right.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it.
Hey man, last question. Do we know is this a continual thing with the Bachelor, or is it just contract by contract, or do we know if you'll be back? Can you say otherwise, or
well, so because we're in such a mess right now, I'm just trying to get I'm just trying to get my guy to the finish line Tuesday night. I'm just trying to get him. I mean, I didn't think we were going to be here, but I got to help Clayton out. I got to get him to the finish line come Tuesday, and then I guess we'll see from there.
Yeah.
I will say this: I really have had an amazing time doing this.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be fun. I've actually enjoyed this more than I even expected I would. So I've had a real blast doing it. So we'll see what happens.
That's great. I think you've done a really good job. Last thing I want to say, because I didn't know, because you're a charismatic guy and you've been the Bachelor, and I was like, how's he going to be Switzerland? Because that's kind of what Chris Harrison, like his greatest attribute was he was so and I think that's why you'd respect him. And I was like, how is Jesse going to do this? Not because you're like arrogant or you got to be the center of attention. It's just more like you're that guy. And I think you've done an admirable job of kind of finding that neutral zone. So I'll give you
towing
that.
the line.
Yeah.
I appreciate it, dude.
Yeah.
I've tried to not make it about me. It's like, I don't want to be like the old Uncle Jesse who's like, back in my day, I would have done this, or this is what you need to say. I just want this is Clayton's. This is his game. This is his deal. He's got to figure it out. I'm sort of there to try to keep him. I'm trying to give him the 7-iron as much as I can hold it for him. I'm like, dude, just lay up.
Lay up. Yeah.
But at times he's swinging for fences.
Jesse, I know everybody knows probably where to find you, but where do you direct people when they're wanting to keep up with you?
Oh, just Instagram, Jesse Palmer on Instagram, and Jesse Palmer TV on Twitter is pretty much it.
Hey, man. Hey, I really enjoyed this. I hope we can do it again down the road, and would love to stay in touch.
Absolutely, brother. Thanks so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Hey, guys, we really appreciate Jesse Palmer. Go follow The Bachelor, the season. If you're listening to this, the season's probably already over, but guess what? Jesse's still out there. Go check him out on college football. He's great. We really appreciate him. You know where to find us. We're at theradcast.com. Search for Jesse Palmer. You'll find all of the content from today. I'm Ryan Alford on all the platforms. We'll see you next time on the Radcast.